Welcome back to the show. Just before we went for the break, we were looking at the youth in Africa, and we're saying right at the back of AU, it's a very important subject to still keep in the light. You know, the rich are getting seriously rich, and the poor are getting very, very poor. There are some people who can't afford to live, let alone even die, because then you won't be able to be buried. That's the destitution out there. And it's the majority of people. Even if I narrow it down to Ghana, how many people are living above the so-called breadline? There are way too many, making people who even can afford 3 square meals sort of a luxury or a unique life. Now we are here to find out if there is a solution, or indeed if there's no hope at all for children or the youth in Ghana and in Africa as a continent. With me in the studio are 3 dynamic youth, if I may classify them, to solve and give me a solution before the show ends. To my extreme left, Prince Derek J, Deputy National Youth Coordinator, National Youth Authority. And then next to him is John Ama, Executive Director, Ghana Center for Entrepreneurship, Employment and Innovation. I like that, innovation. And then next to me is Charles Sam, a youth activist, CEO of Golden Future Promotions. Guys, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I'll start with Prince. Prince, once upon a time, we were fighting and agitating for a mental health bill, right? And then eventually it came to being and we shelved it. Still, we have people who need mental health still on the road. The stigma is still there. We haven't inculcated it into mainstream health. And the same goes to the youth. Oh, get me a youth policy, get me a youth policy. And we got a youth policy. We still have children on the streets like begging. We still have children who are schooling in, really run-down building. And we have a policy. Give me hope. Derek.
Well, you're the picture of hope. Your very self is a picture of hope. Same with Charles and our young friend here.
But unfortunately, I'm not pitched by any traffic lights trying to hustle shoelace. Unfortunately. And I'm the lucky few.
Well, I agree with you partially, because everywhere you go, in the U.S. and the developed...
No, don't go to the U.S.
No, I'm just helping you out.
Don't go to the U.S.
I'm helping you out.
There are 300 million people literally feeding the whole world. We are 25 million people, and 63,000...
Choose your country.
I want Ghana.
No, beyond Ghana for comparison. A good example of where there's hope.
I am sure...
Is there hope anywhere?
Listen, I'm sure even I go to heaven,
yes,
I'll find an angel sleeping outside. Even if I went to heaven. But my point is, if 63,000 children are sleeping in the streets of Accra alone, we can't do any comparisons. We are way beyond comparisons.
No, well, I believe that for any useful discussion, you need to put something against a background.
I'll give you US. Let's go.
I won't use US. Okay, fine. Now, I'm saying to you that the hope that you're looking for, okay, and the picture that you're painting, okay, the contrast, is everywhere else. So I think that rather than look at a hopeless situation, let's look at where we are, where we've come from, and where we're going. And I think that is a better journey for us to undertake than to create a sense of hopelessness, despair, and then everybody throw their arms in the air.
I like
and
that.
Give up.
Where we came from, where we are, and where we're going. I give it to you.
Well, thank you. I believe that we had a no policy situation. Then we had a policy situation. Now we are in the post-policy era. And I think that it's implementation time. Now, our role as a government is to ensure that we facilitate. It's not our duty, okay, and I'm using the word advisedly, to do everything. We believe that the young people are the best people to solve their problems. They have the solutions. Right next to me is a solution provider. I mean, he's proved over the past weekend at AU Day that given the opportunity, young people in Ghana can do exactly what the old people are doing in faraway Ethiopia, all right, or even better, because if you look at the content of what they put out, there is indeed hope for Ghana. And I think that given the necessary resources, support, and linkages, we can arrive. So the policy implementation goes to youth mainstreaming, really, because young people have interests in diverse areas. So we've looked at the priority areas okay, that young people are interested in, and crafted a policy along those lines. The next thing is to create structures and systems that would make it come alive. So, for example, he's into entrepreneurship, job creation, and so on. That is one of the priority areas. You want people of like mind to become a network, and then we link them to the appropriate ministry, and then we derive resources from that sector to run the show. Another person may be into maybe health, so we get all the health, interests, youth organizations to do same. And if you look at and I don't want to call it the manifesto, but the president's vision or statement, that is the advancing the Better Ghana agenda. It flows through. In fact, coincidentally, the president was the same person who launched the youth policy in 2010. In a few months' time, that's on the 12th of August, that's International Youth Day. That would be 3 years of the implementation. We believe that the time has come for young people to make further input, 3 years on. By that time, we expect to see those networks that I'm talking about. We want to see the AMAs and others, emerge and, prosecute the agenda as per this policy.
Ama, I put it to you that you are a rare species in Ghana. I encourage you, I applaud you, and I hope that many people will get your inspiration and join you. But as we sit here and discuss it, you are a rare species in Ghana. And before you go, let me tell you, when I asked you to say where we were, where we are, and where we are going, I expected you to say that, we came from a situation where there was one student per room in Legon, and then we are now at 6 to a room, and we're probably going to 10 to a room. And that's where we are, So we are not going forward, we're going backwards.
That's not entirely true. We had maybe 1 or 2 private universities. Now we have several. I think that whilst you give the situation, and I encourage you to give the gloomy situation, but I think that we must move quickly towards reality. That's the truth. And so let's put the truth out there so that people can pick and choose.
And you think what I'm saying is not the truth?
Well, you're painting a worse than dire situation. And
no,
I think
I'm painting the truth.
That gloom and doom.
How many people can afford private universities? But let me come to Amma.
Yes.
How many people can go to a private university? Yeah. And I'll come to Amma. Amma, I encourage you. But what I'm saying is that how many people can you drag along in your level of intellect, in your level of motivation, and your foresight? How many people realistically can you drag along with you?
Thank you very much, Nana, for the opportunity, and it's a pleasure. Good evening to every viewer of this program. I'm an ardent viewer of this program. Essentially, I start from the National Youth Policy of Ghana, which you started off with. If you have a youth policy that's not in sync with the long-term agenda of any government, you end up failing, and the youth policy will fail, regardless of what is put in it and the thematic areas that it seeks to address. It will fail. And so, for example, if you take the youth policy of Ghana, largely it's not in sync with the long-term agenda of Ghana, essentially. Though you'd have other reports like the UNESCO Education for Global Report, which has praised the GPRS 1, GPRS 2, which are long-term goals.
They always praise us, don't worry.
Of course.
They always praise us.
I'll go to mention that. But again, if it's not in sync with it, you would have a problem. I go further to state that if the youth policy was launched in 2011, okay, and we are how many years down the line? 2010, and it was printed. I'm seeing this printed in 2011, okay, and we are in 2013. What really happened between that time, 2010, as Derek says, and 2013? Essentially, you're expected that within the first 2 years, there have been a structural implementation, of the policy in phases, such that you'd have seen a rebranding of the authority, you'd have seen the appropriate structures and divisions being put in place. And then you begin to see a sort of systemic rollout of its programs towards addressing the youth issues in Ghana. And mind you, youth are not just the holistic sum of youth. They are subcategories of youth. You have at risk, you have the marginalized, you have the semi, formal and informal youth. So they are in phases. So you really got to have targeted policies that affect all these people. Merely writing a policy document does not actually solve everything. If you read and go further into the youth policy, it states that an action plan, and if you read section 11.331, it says that the national youth policy will be implemented through an action plan, which will align comprehensive strategies, projects, activities, time frame with respect to immediate short term, medium, and so on and so forth.
Where's the action plan?
Where's the action plan? If Derek is saying that within this period you have an action plan being developed or haven't been developed, or they are looking forward to more youth inputs, that's fine. But if within 3 years we've not seen anything structural, and again, I won't blame it. Indeed, you need effective leadership to be able to drive some of these initiatives if you want to do them. And like I said, if it's not in sync with the long-term agenda of any government, it will fail.
Sir, you in the midst of all this thing to see hope, how are you going to do that? Insulate yourself from all these problems, form your own policies and your own systems which you can use to work, because we live in a system where people actually pay handouts to pay their taxes. You go to the tax office and you literally hand out 10 cedis that please take this 10 cedis so I can pay my tax quickly and leave. How do you then, with all your fantastic ideas, how do you survive?
Well, thank you. What we need to all understand is that in building any nation, there are different categories of human resource. Now, if you look around the world, you recognize that the most potent resource base to build any country at any given time, especially when it comes to rapid, accelerated growth and development, is the young people. Because they've got the innovative, creative ideas, the strength and the energy, all right, the desire to build very fast, the enthusiasm to change the status quo. And then also, they are an aspirational group of people. So they are willing to go to any length, take any risk to get anywhere. So if any country wants to succeed, compete in the world, and then also wants to accelerate very fast, the focus must be on the young people. Let me break it down. Let's say, Nana, you've married, you've got kids. Now, your desire is that your kids will become the best thing that ever happened, isn't it? Yeah. That they can take over from you. So you'd want to teach them your own ropes, make sure they get the right training, the right value system, and to get where they're supposed to get to. Make sure they're properly equipped so they can survive. When you are dead, even your business can still go on through generations. Why is it that when it comes to a nation, we don't seem to have that same mindset as a nation? Because this game of generational cycles should have begun long time ago, not now. And that's why I will not really blame when I hear people attacking particular governments. Yes, some things they could have done, but this problem started way back. Every nation goes through generational cycles, and every nation deliberately, the word is deliberately, intentionally develops its youth, looking at the future of the country, okay? The future of the world. What's the world going to become like? And you anticipate that, and then prepare the people for that. Unfortunately, in Ghana, we have not done so. As Ghanaians, we haven't. There's been nothing structured for this agenda. So we are caught up in a situation. We have a backload of deficiencies. We are here in a place, and we seem to be caught up. And nobody likes to talk about young people. Everybody shies away from the young people issue, including the media. The media even does not want to give it space to discuss the most important issue. But let me correct something today, once and for all. We are in the 21st century now. There was a 20th century Ghana, okay? There were a bunch of young people who at that time agitated, did what they were supposed to do. It's a new world now. It's a global world. We got to have a market niche and then also compete. Now, how do we compete? We can't use that old resource to do the job again. The most potent tool is the young people, because the young people have got what it takes to get there. Now, so what you do? You'd have to now do what you call retooling, reskilling, skilling as well, because there are different categories, like you said. Our country, between primary and GSS, there's a large drop in the system, unaccounted for. They're here. Between GSS and SSS, there's another drop in the system. Between SSS and tertiary, a huge drop in the system. Then we've got those who've gone to the tertiary schools and come out with no idea of what to do. It's a big crisis. Every year in this country, we have 300,000 young people enter the job market. Let me give you the statistics. Out of the 300,000, 30% are from the tertiary institutions. So let's say about 80,000 of them, okay? Now, out of that 80,000, only 4,000 get job placements. So as a country, we must begin to start thinking now, even the education curricula, the classroom education, okay? Starting from even home training. What do we do to ensure that we train people to do more for themselves than to depend on everybody else? And it's time that we wean our people of government. That's the truth. Because the economic sector is what will bring the cash, will bring the tax, will bring the money for development and everything we need to do as well. So the game now is that we must understand that the nation has reached a stage where we're in a reinvention period. A reinvention, a renewal, a re-strategizing, reorienting, and repositioning to make sure that we're able to catch the global market. ICT, for instance, It's said around the world, according to statistics, that there are going to be a lot of jobs from ICT. What is Ghana doing in that area, in the area of ICT, to ensure that we can capture that market, the various areas of ICT, sitting even at home in Ghana? You can have that today's world.
Derek is going to tell you that he gave out laptops.
Hold on. I think let me lay a certain framework, then we can go into details. It's important that the framework is laid down so we all get the right as a nation. And mind you, what I'm saying is not just government's job. It is all of us, everybody in this country. So the banking institutions, the traditional institutions, the churches.
Charles, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Now, you've given up laptops. So if we move into ICT, have you positioned that?
Well, I think that, let me do a few corrections first. I believe that Ms. Amma here possibly may not have, gone through the entire policy, and so it would be unfair of me to, as it were, make the correction on set. But I think since the audience out there have been given that kind of information, which is erroneous, I think that if you refer to page 5, for example, you can see the different categorization and the fact that the policy has actually been tailored to suit the various categorization: rural, urban, youth, male, female, adolescent, etc., physically challenged, educated, uneducated, out of school, and so on. We've looked at everything. It's a very thorough job that was not done over a short period of time. It spanned 2 administrations, the NPP administration and the current administration. So it is not some shoddy work. Now, I want to also indicate very clearly to you that, and therefore to the viewers out there, that the National Development Planning Commission, has met with various stakeholders in the overall planning of Ghana's developmental paradigm, including the National Youth Authority, and also the policy has been effectively put into the long-term, medium to long-term plan for this country. So it's not true when he says that this is going to fail because it's not in sync with anything. Now, I want to also...
What is the medium to long-term plan for this country?
No, I'm saying that the NDPC, that's the National Development Planning Commission, is charged with the responsibility of developing, plans, just like he was citing various plans that have now, gone out of sync.
Just as citizens, what are medium to long-term plan? ICT, agri, tourism?
Every ministry, has a plan, and it's fed into a big pool. And that is what is coordinated by the National Development Planning Commission. And what I'm saying to you is that the policy and its objectives...
I know everybody's going to move forward, but as a nation, we need to position as to whether we're going to hit agri, we're going to hit ICT, we're going to hit tourism. Yeah, there must be one that we're trying to hit.
I'll help you out on that. As far as and I'm saying that you see, youth are very dynamic. He may be interested in something that the next young person is not interested in. But as government, we cannot say that, hold your horses, let us just do this. Before we move on to the next thing. We are looking at the cross-sectorial.
You go to Dubai. Every business is going on in Dubai, but you know that they are hitting tourism. You know that Dubai is just hitting tourism. It doesn't mean that those in ICT or those in retailing have been cut out. We as a nation, where are we going as a nation? So that he can even change from maybe he's thinking of hotels. No, let me not do hotels because agri is the thing. So I go towards agri.
That's what I'm saying. That you see, as a country, there may be different interest areas, but as a youth authority, having gone through, and I want to also indicate that there's been some rebranding. I think that some of these things that have been said on the set are a bit unfair, but that's a given. Now I'm saying to you that we have also a responsibility to every other young person, whereas sectors would move aggressively. And you see in the positioning of government, that, for example, if you listen to the president's session address, there are clear hints as to which direction, he wants to take this country. Industrialization is one, and that's why the energy sector is something of great concern to him. The youth development, agenda is also very key. Now, I would like to just indicate, for example, that when it comes to job creation, that's one of the key things that we are focused on. And so we're looking at not employing, but rather entrepreneurship as a key. So that is why you realize, for example, on page 9 of his mission statement, he indicates very clearly what the next NDC government will do, even before he assumed office. And he's been very consistent with that in his addresses and so on. He indicates, among other things, the seed money that he's putting into the Job and Enterprise Development Fund for job creation. But the idea is to encourage young people to start their own businesses, not for government to employ them. You understand? And they can set up in businesses in virtually any sphere. If you take ICT, for example, you can look at the ministry, and that's how we operate. we first look at the sector ministry that's responsible for ICT, like the packs and so on. It's not just about distribution of laptops.
Before you come in,
for me, ICT is not distribution of laptops. ICT is not just computers. It goes beyond that. And I think that oversimplification of ICT, okay, is not helping us. I'm saying to you that if you look at the agri sector, we must look at things sector by sector. At the same time, this government or this country is decentralizing. Action does not happen at the top. It's not happening around this table. It's happening in districts, in small communities. And that's where the real Ghanaians are. Every community has a district. It falls within a district. And so in tandem with the local government structure, you see...
As a nation, how are we doing on ICT?
Oh, well, I think that we can do a lot better. And I think that we're moving in that general direction.
You see, he's saying that we are going to encourage the youth into entrepreneurship. Now, do you train people to entrepreneurship, or do you encourage them? I mean, you were the youth.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me also make some statements. First, I never said that this policy was not in sync with government. I was generalizing it because we're looking at Africa, not just
specific, so that the audience out there would not be confused.
Ghana. However, if you go into this policy never categorizes any youth into, looking at specific needs of these people. It just generally states rural and urban, male and female, adolescents and adults. I expected Derek, again from the Youth Authority, to begin to look at what he has done and what the authority has done in the existence. I mean, since they came into power, and if he's speaking from a governmental level, since they came in, what they've done. He never said so. Kept referring to the overall agenda of the government, which is still being pursued and is left to the public to decide on. We expect that he should come out and state clearly what the Youth Authority's policy is towards youth development in this country. If they are promoting entrepreneurship, what's the policy? What's the action plan for it to be done? That's what we need to hear. We need to hear solutions and not just the general artistic nature of, a whole government machinery policy. No, it's specific programs, targeted programs, deliberate programs to affect young people. And that's what we must do.
Tell me one thing that you would have wanted to hear. Just
fantastic. He mentioned, certain areas. I'll focus on academia. For example, if you want a deliberate targeted policy at young people who are dropping out today, then essentially what you've got to do is to realign the educational system for some sort of, sustainable way in looking at it. For example, have the shoe shine be able to go back to school through another route. Have him do a certificate, diploma if he wants to do law, and continue as such in that like manner. Instead of having to go back to write WASI, there's got to be deliberate policies to affect certain areas. If it's in technology, let me tell you, Nana, you need to understand the whole ecosystem before you venture into doing anything at all. Otherwise, you will fail. You need to understand the ecosystem. That if you want to focus on entrepreneurship, you've got to understand what needs to be done. If it's technology that you want to do, there's got to be incubators. There's got to be grant-given institutions. There's got to be seed funding. You've got to have all these people. You have training institutions that exist. If the Youth Authority is going to partner with these people, fair enough. If you're not going
that's exactly
to...
what we're saying.
But you've not done it in the past.
I think you're not listening.
You've not done it in the past. You've not done it in the past. The Youth Authority... That's what I'm saying. Let me go, General.
I think you just
Youth Authorities generally... Youth Authorities... I'm not criticizing.
I think so.
Because young people come to us and complain of the ineffectiveness of the Youth Authority, not just in Ghana, across the sub-region. Why? Because they are... You can't blame them. They are inadequately resourced. They lack effective leadership in most areas and don't understand the ecosystem and are there for political reasons. Because they've got to understand that, look, these are the specific problems that young people face. And so if I want to do something, this is what I've got to do. But everybody sits somewhere and they're thinking of some political, office that they want to occupy. Meanwhile, there are young people who are suffering. There's that person on the street who needs a job. How do you affect him? And when you just say entrepreneurship, food will drop down? No. You go down there and find out his problem, find out what he wants to do, make sure that the available resources are there. All we do in this country is just talk. The resources that are there, people don't know about them. And here we are again talking about, some sort of gimmick, thematic areas. We should look at specific solutions to these problems. Empower the young people. If it's entrepreneurship, get targeted, deliberate policies to affect these young people. I'm done.
Sam,
I think you asked a question, Prince, a question. And that is where I wanted to start from. You see, every country, before coming to all these little details, every country must do a very serious comparative analysis, thorough research, based on, and get some hardcore facts as to its strengths and weaknesses. On the basis of that, then you determine your core competency as a country. That's the question you were actually asking. Yeah. What is Ghana's area? That is something I think we're yet to. I have heard agriculture, a lot of people, and I've listened a lot. I've heard a lot of people talk about agriculture. Now you look at our situation, yes, and I have spoken to some people also international who also believe that yes, we still have a lot we can do within the agricultural sector, which is true. So in the agricultural sector, if that's
before the Galamsey people take over.
Fantastic, good.
Okay.
Now, so if it's agriculture we want to look at, okay, like Brazil did. They had an industrial policy, but then they decided to focus on agriculture first. What you do, in order to be competitive, Brazil had to make sure that, look, they could do volume production because that makes economic sense if they want to compete anywhere in the world. Brazil recognized that, look, that China will be the future consumer of, say, oil, like soya oil, etc. Then India will be the future producer, refiner of oil. Okay, they will be then they wanted to be the producer of soya oil. Okay, now all these things are based on hard research, and you come up with hardcore facts, not speculation. Now, once you determine your core competency, let me ask you one simple question, and I've asked a few economists this question. Agriculture, yes. Is there another area that in this country that we can use as a major growth area? For instance, would it make sense that we become the West African trade hub? Would it create we should look at what would the benefit out of it? Would it create enough jobs, more jobs than going into, say, industrialization, trying to produce products again, old products, to compete with others? Should we rather be a West African hub in terms of production? In terms of trading? So that all the goods of the world come here, we distribute them. Would that get us more jobs? The transport sector, would it oil that area? Okay, will it re-export to earnings from that? We must do some serious analysis. We haven't done that as a country. We have not done that as a country
back to you.
Yet.
Let me take a quick break and then we'll come back. Guys, we are looking, and I'm saying that before we leave here, I'm sure we'll have at least one solution for the youth of Ghana and Africa. Well, many. Stay tuned. Well, viewers, welcome back. The debate behind the scenes is even hotter than the ones on the scenes. But all we are trying to find out is Africa as it is today, with the leaders that we have, with the countries that we have together, what future is there for the youth? You see, because I keep asking Charles has got big ideas. However, you need the systems to work to nurture your ideas. And the systems are not working. And even though the youth are the majority, they are cut off because there are a few old buddies there who see to call the shots. And you can't seem to weave your way through. We are in the age of ICT. Where are we in ICT today? Prince, I'll come to you. And I know you see a lot of hope.
Of course.
You see a lot of hope.
In all of you and all of us as a country. And I believe that Ghana is not a hopeless situation. And I'm happy you looked at it continent-wide. I mean, we've just been celebrating the AU, and I believe that Ghana is a central part of the AU. I mean, everybody talks about the AU, and even if you go to the AU building, there's only one president statue there. It's that of Ghana.
It was built by the Chinese.
It doesn't matter. I'm saying that.
It matters a lot.
No, please. I'm not talking about who built it. It wasn't Africans. But what I'm saying essentially is that the fact that Nkrumah's statue is there speaks volumes for Ghana in terms of its placement. So,
Prince, is that not our danger?
If you can allow me to at least develop one point, okay?
Go.
Now I'm saying to you that Africa, okay, looks up to Ghana. And therefore, even Ghana as a country and its youth, within the context of Africa, are well positioned to take on the entire continent, okay, within the context of the African Union. And assuming that Ghana is the only country that had a policy, I'm just using that as an example. This could well become the policy of Africa, a one policy for Africa. We have the Africa Youth Charter that Ghana has ratified, okay? Now, we have concepts of having the National Youth Parliament, which is being floated and is being, projected, over time. Hopefully, we should be able to have an ECOWAS Youth Parliament, along the lines of the ECOWAS Parliament, and then an Africa Youth Parliament, you understand, where young people can have greater involvement. And that's why we're saying that decentralization and all of those things are key. But if Ghana can be an example for others, and others can come and learn from us, we can in no time even export. You see, human resource is one thing that we have in abundance. Forget about the other things of ICT and so on. The Ghanaian, okay, as an entity, is an export commodity that Ghana can have go out there. And the Ghanaian is knowledgeable. Fine, we are credited with a lot of talk. But at the end of the day, it's wise talk that can be implemented. So if, assuming, and without admitting that we are not able to even implement it home, okay, we can do a great service to the entire continent and the world as a human resource, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm saying to you also that as far as we are concerned, okay, as authority.
Let me come back. I mean, when you say human resource, we're going to export teachers and soldiers and export farmers out, or what are we doing? Break it down for me. I missed that.
All right. I'm saying simply, someone like Charles is a fountain of ideas as far as youth is concerned. Assuming we had tens of Charles, okay, and we put them in 10 different countries, you can imagine what transformation it can cause, assuming that they take what advice Charles gives. In like manner, we have too many of the Charleses in Ghana. And when you have a situation where there are too many of a certain situation, most often than not, you don't get to move at that fast pace. Even though, conversely, it also means that we can have like minds converging on a thought process and putting action behind it. Yeah. What we end up doing in this country is rather to battle it out and sometimes to overly politicize a very simple action that can be taken. So there are lots of roadblocks that the wise people put on the path of government's implementation. Rather than get on board and help the process to go to fruition, they find how to checkmate you for political reasons. And I'm saying that has been the bane of the youth of this country. Simplicity.
But we run an executive government, and the government has got authority to literally veto everything, whether Charles put blocks there or not.
No, but that is where, you see, the youth authority, unlike other organizations, is not the implementer. It is a facilitator. And that is where some people get it wrong. Okay? We have moved away from the days where government is supposed to do ABC. Okay, let's say, for example, I'm in charge of programs. I say, okay, all Ghanaian youth, we are going to do agriculture. Everybody stop ICT. Let's go to the farms. Let's do the brigade. We can do that. But to what end? You understand? So the modern commonsensical approach to doing youth work is to allow the young people to evolve their own ideas and help them create the linkages. And that is what we are doing. At the end of the day, they may move at their own pace. You may be smarter than I. He may be less smart than him. But at the end of the day, we must give everybody the opportunity. And that's why we are saying that we are being sensitive to the different shades of young people that we have in this country. You cannot say that everybody go marching, forgetting that some people don't have limbs. You understand what I'm saying? And that is the approach that we are adopting. It may not work the way you expect because we are not in the world of robotics or the military regime where we say, everybody get up, go do this. That is not the way to go.
Charles, what happened to cohesion so that the state should know that, you know what, I'm falling short of dentists, I'm falling short of organizers, I'm falling short of this, and therefore anybody who goes in this direction, I'll give you something small, rather than say, I'm sitting down and waiting to see what they come and tell me they will do.
It comes back to...
sit down and wait.
You are saying...
Everybody. You see, demand and supply. The market forces are at work. I mean, in even regular life, you understand? We have millions of Ghanaian people in different diverse areas. But they are not all known to us. And that's one of the key things that I think Offset we're talking about the registration process and therefore being known to us and then we being able to facilitate you. Because technically speaking, really, if we put resources behind organizations that are not registered, it means we ourselves will be breaking the law. I mean, these are all subtle
what
things
I'm saying is, can the state say that because I'm short of nurses, anybody doing nursing in secondary or university, it's on my bill? And there are people who could have gone into dentistry who say, oh, no, I don't have the money to do dentistry, so I'll do nursing.
It all comes back to what I was talking about. The framework. We must have proper statistics, constantly recognizing areas that are short. 5 years from now, what's going to happen? This is the projection. We're short of this type of HR person or this category of HR people. It's important that we do that. You see, unfortunately in this country, we don't have hard, cold facts to work on. I'll tell you, because we haven't done constructive research over a long period of time. Things have compounded so much that sometimes it's difficult to know which is which. And coordination, as you mentioned, is an issue. But where we can correct it now, because we're in a reinvention process now, renewal, and you hear the president speak a lot about renewal and reinvention. It is true, because that's the stage we've reached now. Thank God we've got a bunch of young people who can move this agenda. But what should happen is there should be a clear agenda. Like you rightly said, let us identify, if it's agriculture, what are some of our key strong growth areas where we can create a lot of jobs, they can do their businesses within, they can export, okay, we can play with the global market. So if it's agriculture, based on hardcore facts that will give us the best out of that, or maybe that's one area. Let's look at the ICT area. In the area of ICT, for instance, those sitting at home, we have a peculiar situation. Now, what can we do immediately with some of them? The list that they've learned. Back office outsourcing has become a big show right now. You go to Sri Lanka and the rest. Somebody sends you all the office work at home, your little one computer at home, and you're working and earning some money. There are a lot of new areas we can look at. Let's factor out, let's do this research and find out whether these areas will generate the kind of jobs we need, okay? We'll keep them busy. Now, there are people I mentioned who are in the system as well, also dropped. The Leicester program, I don't care what anybody says about some of the programs, the issues of some of the programs, but Leicester was targeted at, and that was a well thought out program, targeted comprehensively at addressing those who have dropped, let's say, from primary, between primary GSS, SSS. That's a bunch of people who could be very dangerous to our country's security. So that program addresses that. They skill them, train them in management, basic management. They train you with other values as well. And then you're released with some equipment to do what you're supposed to do. That is very comprehensive. And it's sustainable because the young people work and you pay back the money. There's also supervision with them, okay? And it's been 80% successful, I can tell you that. Yeah. Now, that program could be a model now, where now we could go for the private-public partnership because it has worked. So America, Obama came to this country and opened his mouth and promised us that, listen, any young people who put something together and work, we will come and support them with funds. Where is that cash? The time has come now for that. Now, all the international agencies here, and then the business community, because it's in our interest to ensure that we're able to raise young people.
Charles, I've got 6 minutes to run up. Now, what I want to know is, if I walked out there on the streets right now and I stopped a trotro, taxi driver, or anybody, when I said, look, do you know what's in this book?
They don't know about it.
They don't know what about it. So how are we going to buy into this book?
No.
Okay.
Let me say that beyond this book, or this policy that we so call it, I think that it's incumbent on the National Youth Authority to begin to look at structures, putting structures in place to address the multifaceted areas of our social life, which are the problems that young people face today. And they can use social media. I think if you ask Derek to tell us 3 things they've done, I think, well, we only hear forums as well. What they need to do is, if it's networks that they want to put in place to help young people, linkages, that should be done in the short term. And there should be information as to where young people, if they want, information on agri projects, on funding for agri, it should be there for them. If it's in identifying institutions that they can support, that should be visibly seen, everywhere, so that we know that, the National Youth Authority is supporting this particular group in this particular dimension and helping this youth in this particular area. Those things should be done. There should be harmonization of all these things. I know that there's some talk going on about having all these models that are being like LESDEP, which is a fantastic program, come under a certain authority so that all youth programs are coordinated. That's a perfect plan if you want to do that. And so we'll be able to generate statistics on unemployment, on youth being helped. Those are good things in the long term. Young people don't need lip service now. We don't need talk. What we need now is the partnerships, not even opportunity. Give us the partner with us, because more young people doing this. Beat I'm wearing this by a young gentleman called Fred Digby of Heal the World. He's doing amazing. Does he need government support? Maybe you need to have all these people to tell the story of the young now. Africa has been telling the story of the old for far too long. What we need to do now is to tell the story of the young, which is what are they doing. And for example, you can put, the National Youth Authority can put 4 youth together and let them do a video and say, hi, my name is John Amma, I'm with GCEI, Fred Digby of ATW. Now, if I can just finish, and we come from Ghana. We represent a new generation where we're looking at blah, 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 and put it out on the internet. What you do is that you drive people in Yale, Ife in Yale, you drive Sango Dele in Harvard, all these youth begin to think, so this is what is happening in Ghana. If John could be a youngest contributor to Ghana's budget, so can they. That's how how we are thinking. So we need partnerships. And not this kind of thing.
Let me just chip in something.
I don't know how much of the 6 minutes is still left, but I think that because they might not give an extension.
Charles, summarize for me.
What he just suggested, the last.
It's something that's been done, and that's a shocker because he could have taken advantage of that. You see, we had. No, excuse me, please.
It's not there.
Excuse me.
Okay, let's hear Derek. Derek said it's been done. So. Derek, no, let's give Derek said it has been done.
I believe that this young man represents all the young people in this country.
If
so
Derek,
whatever he knows,
excuse me, please. Derek will keep on.
Excuse me, please.
No, Derek says it's been done. No, he said it's been done. So maybe you haven't seen it.
It's not there.
Derek,
okay, hold on.
I was going to say something. on that statement. I know for a fact that the current Minister for Youth, Elvis, currently is discussing this very issue seriously about getting the best of youth who've done much.
Discussing?
Yeah.
No. Okay, hold on. You said discussing. Now,
listen, hold on. They probably, I don't know, probably have done it before.
well, so let Derek have a go. Let Derek,
I believe very strongly that, and I'm very sad that he dismisses things that have been put out in the media that, like last year and the year before, a number of things were done under Honorable Humodo's time. One included the IBM team partnering with NYA together with some young people to develop the NYA site and had interactive features. And that is when even this youth parliament thing was being promoted. Excuse me, please, my dear friend. That's a fact. My dear friend. You see, you are on national television. Excuse me.
Let him land. I'll let you react.
These are verifiable things. Excuse me, please. I don't think that. I don't think that this your politicking is taking you very far.
No, John, please. Let him land. Then you react.
The Parliament of Ghana, okay, on Africa Youth Day, okay, that's 1st November, partnered with the Ministry of Youth and Sports under Honorable Humado as minister. And that is when the IBM people, they were in the Parliament of Ghana. It was on live TV. And that's why I'm surprised that this young person would be continuously doing this.
Let you react. Let him land.
How far it's gone is the other issue. Now, you see, you cannot go and handpick people from the streets and say, these are the young people in this country, so come and use whatever. The information had been put out there, okay? Now, the issue of registration and so on had been put out there, and even online possibility of registration. People refused to take advantage of this. And I was hopeful that the likes of this young man would have taken full advantage, and with the kind of experience that they have, would have actually been taken on the whole thing and driven it, because that is the direction that the authority is going. It is not for us as authority to run these things. It's for the young people to take initiative and see opportunity in these platforms that are being created and drive the whole thing.
Derek, before he comes in, where will he find that information? Before he comes in, where will he find that information?
I don't know where you were on 1st November 2 years ago, 1st November last year, but at least I do know that if you are in this country, 1st November, another Africa Youth Day is coming. If we can, and you're asking for partnerships, I believe that this is the time. Rather than have this go and dig at people on set for whatever reason, if you're really sincere about wanting this partnership, I think that we should be talking constructively about how you can take over that platform that is there. And then you go see what state it is in, because people like you fail to take advantage of it. And we, as the authority, we are not the young people. We are creating opportunity for the young people like yourself. So if you are indeed interested in the partnership, let us make some progress. And we have the solutions right there.
Derek fails to understand the fact that he's also young, and fails to understand that such a simple concept like a youth parliament he cannot implement as director of programs of NYA. It's shocking. It's shocking.
I think that's a low blow. Let me explain to you. The youth parliament structure. No. I think that was a low blow. The youth parliament structure is supposed to take representation from every district. Youth organizations that are registered under the authority at the district level in collaboration with the local government. It is not for me to sit down and handpick people from the districts. Then
you don't have to.
You don't have to.
Let us guys, that's how you
Let's talk about solutions.
No, if you've not registered the authority, how do we know you exist?
Oh, we have. You see, what Derek was, I think that the NYA going for needs new leadership. People like Derek have served their time. They should go. Let others come who can.
No, we welcome you. Come and take over.
I don't want to go there.
Guys, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Has finally found expression in your game plan. That's right.
Unfortunately, that's what time will allow us.
You get to do politics here. That's fine.
Can I have a minute? They took all the time. Can I have a minute?
I'll give you half a second. Half a minute. Half a minute.
Number one,
Charles, let's see the solutions.
Can you do a bit of improvement in the way you get across to people?
Yes.
That could help. Fine.
That's fine. But I mean,
number two.
But on this occasion, I think that this is the best medicine.
Can I have my seconds, please? Number two. Let's look at the way that bring it down. Various communities. Let's look at the way that we can now create get resource people to skill the young people quickly, and then they get in there. Use your common fund as an MP, the opinion leaders in the area. Let's bring it down to communities, community level. Community-focused programs will work out very well and will happen very fast.
And that's what we're trying to do.
So we see hope in the area as we're going on. That's what we need to do. Then we need an ideas bank where people can deposit ideas. Because some of the young people don't know what to do when they even give them cash.
Absolutely.
They have no idea. Then they must form groupings. That's the next thing as well.
Thank you very much, my brother.
That's what
you didn't give me time, man.
Time will allow us.
That's what we're doing. They don't want to engage. Rather do politics.
Guys, this is the document.
Sad,
Find
right?
it from somewhere and buy into it, especially if you are if you consider say, the youth. That's your way out. Is all in there. Find it, read it. That's our new Bible if we are going to make or break. Thank you very much for watching, and tomorrow we'll be back here to do it all over again. My name is Nanansa Kwao. Have a nice evening.